Hey, what's going on, folks? Keyshawn McMiller here, mastermind behind the ICU HBCU movement, back with another episode of the ICU HBCU podcast. As I say in all my videos, we've got a good one for you here today. FAMU is in the house once again. Jonathan Bertrand, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having
So tell the people, I know a little bit about you, but as I mentioned right before we started recording, I don't know a lot about your HBCU adventure. So we'll get into that shortly. But just as you are presently known, right, Social Media Research Institute, I know we'll get into that as well. Just give the people a brief overview of who you are and what you're about.
So, my name is Jonathan Bertrand. I'm from Orlando, Florida, and attended Florida A&M University exactly 10 years ago this year. This is actually my 10th year anniversary of starting college, summer B. So it's been a very long time, as you could say. I'm on my decade now. So I would say my just upbringing, a middle class family, hard workers, learn to basically work for everything you want and don't expect anything to be given. So I took that mentality. Multi-time business owner over the years. Sold my first business before going to college. We ran a company called Legacy Lawn Care Company. Format. So a lot of people don't know that side of my life. But I did definitely build a company from the ground up and sold. So I do know a little bit about that. And then when it comes to what I do now, I went to school for marketing and branding, J school, and then ended up getting into the medical field, developing medical research around social media and how it affects people. So, me being someone that was bullied online, being someone that saw the online effect, seeing an offline effect, I saw that they needed to see a solution to that, and I basically dedicated my life to that at the age of 15. I'll be 30 in December. So I've seen a lot, done a lot, been around the block with you, and my experience at FAMU definitely one for.
Wow. So there's a lot in that. Even in your intro, I was like, wait, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Okay, this is gonna be good. Let's just hop right into it. So I like to I always like to start the interviews off from the beginning before you actually the folks actually stepped on campus. So we know that you, Jonathan, attended the illustrious Florida A&M University in Tallahassee, Florida. Take us to before that, right? What was it about maybe Florida A&M in particular? Were you already looking at HBCUs? Were there other schools in the mix? Tell us about that.
Well, I actually was looking at other schools. I was looking at now known as University, but you know how that goes. HBC rival there. That was some university I looked into in Daytona Beach. I also looked into Florida Memorial, Atlanta, Harvard, MIT, Stanford, those type of universities. And then I also was trying to see about international universities. Yes, I was that guy that maybe had not had the best GPA, but I knew my knowledge could get me through certain doors.
Yeah.
But none of them offered me a full ride scholarship. So I ended up getting a scholarship through the SEER program at Florida A&M. Basically, it was called local rehab. And one feels like ability, don't realize that comprehension is one of my struggles as an early, kid growing up. So you would not know that by looking at it. But I was someone that was put in specific classes. I was pulled out of classes all the time. This is fundamentals of a lot of things. So a lot of my understanding comes from phonetic understanding, and my terminology is speaking, interpreting, and then basically regurgitating or synthesizing it in my own way. So that's kind of how I did it. So I was part of Oak Rehab 2 years, and that's actually how I got into it. So everybody thinks it was because I had a 4.0 GPA or this and that, and I'm like, no, actually, I was in the disability program.
Yeah.
But I never talk about it. So people don't really know that side. So when they hear about what I do for a living, they realize that's the linkage there.
Yeah, the deeper understanding. And I want to take this time to shout out these types of programs, right? We understand that, and I think the world is starting to hopefully understand that. I mean, there's a wide variety of ways that people can learn and understand different concepts. And, although the concept of IEPs, individualized education plans, are or were historically housed for, those with learning disabilities and such. Honestly, when I think about it, everyone should have some form of IEP,
Mm.
right? No two people learn in the exact same way. So that's just a one-off concept that I was thinking about. But nevertheless, I'm really happy that Florida A&M was able to offer you that funding. I know funding is such a hard thing to obtain, especially for some of these higher level HBCUs like a Florida A&M or a Howard or a Spelman. So, right, that innovative way, there's always a way in, right? And so
Oh,
you never want to close the door, right?
for sure.
So that's good. That's good to know. So you got in through, right, the disability program. You got this funding. Was there anyone in your family or anyone around you affiliated with HBCUs in any way?
Yeah. My twin brother went to Clarkson University.
Mm,
My uncles and aunts went to Howard University.
okay.
We have some family members that went to Dillard University, Hampton. The
So y'all aren't new to this. Y'all are true to
oh,
this.
nah, definitely not. I mean, my parents went to UCF, but
Yeah.
no, we ain't gonna talk about that. But but I definitely do have a long range of HBCU alumni in my family. So when they heard I was going to FAM,
Yeah.
it wasn't too far up the alley. So my goal was to actually get my younger brother into FAM.
Mm,
He ended up going, and actually just graduated last year. So,
okay.
so we're strong in the Rattler, family, but
For
also we have
sure.
others.
Well, congrats to little bro for graduating. And you said you have a twin brother. I have a twin sister. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, twin sister. So I understand the twin connection. So that's good. That's good to know. That's interesting. So So you're not new, right? Not new to this HBCU game. True to it. You got into Florida and talk to us about how did you go? Number one, did you know any like what did you know about FAMU coming into it? And as you sort of got prepared to enter the campus, what did you do? Did you? I know you can join like I don't know if Facebook was around. Facebook was around back then.
Group me. Yeah, it was actually group me back
Group
then.
me, okay. Talk
Yeah.
to us about that. How did you prepare for your journey?
Well, I mean, literally, it was maybe like what? I mean, I graduated from high school, and like
Yeah.
what? Maybe less than a month later, I was on campus in phase three, summer B. So I really didn't have time to like, oh gosh, I'm a college student now. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, got to get all of our stuff, and I don't like packing. So,
Does anybody?
I'm like a type person, so it's like throw some stuff in a bag and go. So college really taught me very quickly, like you got to be organized,
Mhm.
or you got to be structurally organized. And
Yes.
as someone who liked organized chaos in a way, um, it was very uncomfortable. And ironically, I had to learn too that you have a roommate. So, and you may not know the roommate,
Yeah.
So my roommate, Miles, shout out to you. Uh, he definitely taught me how to work with and communicate with someone that you don't know, and you can't treat everyone like a business deal. And he's from Jacksonville. Shout out to him
Okay.
because he was actually the first person, like literally like the first couple of weeks, we were having problems. And mind you, I don't have problems, so if
Yeah.
I got a problem, it's a problem.
Mm,
It was just, having a new roommate, not understanding different dynamics. He was already on campus. I was new to the campus, but
okay.
I was coming from corporate mentality. So mind you, I was already doing marketing campaigns for local officials. I was working with the Atlanta Solar Bears here,
Mhm.
working with their marketing teams and whatnot, working with owners, So my mentality was like, if I don't own it, I don't go. Or if
Yeah.
if I don't know the executive staff, why am I here? Like, so people called me bougie, very early. My roommate was like, nobody cares about what you did there. It's what you do now. And yeah, we could have some problems if we don't change that mentality because that's not how it works in college. You got to earn your respect here. You can't just full rank title. You got to earn that. So literally, that summer, um, basically, I took off the mask, as people say, and threw that corporate side out and myself forward to A&M and the environment because of the African American experience.
Yeah.
Because I definitely did not walk in with that, can tell you that. And they ate that up. They were like, Don, you are going to basically get your butt beat. Look, and you're better than everybody. Okay, cool. So I got humbled. I got humbled very easily, very quickly, and I didn't fight it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But eventually, I ended up, during that summertime, they realized, okay, I wasn't stuck up. I just needed to adjust and acclimate. And inserting dominance. When you're coming from a dominant position to a new position or new area, new location, city, new everything, if you don't know the dynamics of the city,
Right.
people will already know kind of who you are before you get there. I mean, to the point where people were literally waiting for me at the actual phase 3 facility, ready to help me because of what they saw online. So I kind of already knew I had people in the group chats, whatnot.
Right.
Nobody had met. When they met me, it was like, oh, okay, this is Jonathan Bertrand. This is how he interacts with people.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So that was how I kind of like assimilated, but it was not easy. It was not easy.
Not easy. I want to give a shout out to you said Miles was your roommate's name?
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to Miles. Sometimes right, we got to keep it real, and he could have definitely gone left, right, with
He
how
was
he
and he was a football player too. So like that male thing you do sometimes. Like this is who I am. This is what I do. He's like, well, you ain't bigger than me, and I'm like, well, size don't mean much. Size don't mean much. You got heart. So yeah.
Well, even like so we talked earlier about these more quote unquote prestigious HBCUs like a Florida A&M, a Howard, or a Spelman. When I was coming, I went to Bethune-Cookman University first, and even when I was coming in, like I knew what I had accomplished, right? 5 point whatever GPA, all these accolades, yada yada yada. Oh, and so it gave me this like ego.
Yep.
And so right, I resonate with you in that sense. But when you step on that campus, and at least for me, when I saw folks that looked like me who had done just as much, if not more, than I did, it does humble you. And stepping, like you said, Jonathan, stepping into a new city, it's like, okay, well, I don't know the lay of the land here. I need to learn the rules of this game now. And so I appreciate you for sharing that about being able to take off your mask and learn a new side of yourself. I think right, they say college is a space of self-discovery.
Yes.
And so and what I hear you saying is you'll only be able to do that if you, number one, humble yourself, and then number two, take off that mask. You can bring some pieces of yourself from your former place, but don't be afraid to explore some of those hidden sides.
And you gotta be willing to take risks. I mean, people don't realize that like those years that I was at FAMU were my most uncomfortable. That's when you learn yourself. I mean, be real. I was at Top Flight in Tallahassee all the time. I was at Baja's. I was at Coliseum. Like trying to cope with reality. Stress of classes. Certain professors I did not like, and they still go today. We still, like, yeah, we can sit down with each other now and joke about it 10 years later. But I mean, it's like but also too, I tell people those years are your biggest network because I'm not gonna lie. I literally said it, and it's somewhere posted somewhere online. I would always say, I got 4 years to make something happen. And everybody was like, what does that mean? I'm like, you're gonna see. You're gonna see. And within 2 years, I knew college was a networking tool.
Yeah.
But also, you're there to get your degree. But I said, this is the only time I'll have a concentration of people that look like me in one location at my age, understanding, fresh, new, no bias, where I can basically control the narrative of what I want to do for the next 20, 30 years. and I'm on year 10 now. And I mean, I streamlined it, but everything that I said then is now happening. But people don't realize that I had to make sacrifices. I've lost relationships. I lost, potential engagements. All these different things that could have happened.
Yeah.
Because I sacrificed for what I had a big purpose, and I had to find my purpose in the losses and losing a full ride scholarship, not because I was partying, but the same thing you hear about today. I lost a full ride scholarship because the professor, was using my work, just trying to use my work to basically, further her PhD, and whatnot. And I lost my full ride scholarship and got kicked out of college. So, a lot of people don't even know that, like, I didn't just, party hard and, whatever. No, like, I was hurt by that. Like, that hurt me to know that, you can build something for the greater humanity on campus. It's supposed to be a place of higher learning. And then bureaucracy or whatever they call it behind the scenes is taking research. And this happens, by the way, at any university. So
Right.
make it very clear. But for that specific thing, it was like I'm the one that got hit for it, and it messed up my whole college career. I was paying on semesters I wasn't even there because of what happened, and I basically had to get help for that because it was like the business side of school that people don't talk about. Like schools are businesses, just so everybody knows, schools are businesses, and if you don't bring value to the business of the school, you know they don't see you as a priority. And, that's where you have administration changes. Shout out to Dr. Elmira Mangum, who was my president when I was there, who literally changed the game for Tallahassee when she was there, and they did not like it. So, seeing how administration changes, and also, too, people need to understand, that you make the university does not make you.
Yeah.
And great, been around for many, many years, but when people see or hear of the work that I've done and they go back to their research, my goal back then was to make sure, whether however things happen, to make sure that FAMU was known as the place that pioneered social media harm reduction and first aid social media. Went to, developed, and gives all, phase 3, Sampson and Young. I was all up and down that campus. So, it feels good to know, yeah, we have our history, we have our beat, but, I was able to at least accomplish something knowing that when people see me, they see FAMU, they see Black Excellence, they want to go hire people from FAMU, they want me to bring FAMU alumni involved, as you probably see on my website. Those are FAMU alums, those are some FAMU, literally, our past presidents are my advisory board. So these are the type of things that people don't realize, like, just because you had a rough time in college sometimes, or, it wasn't always how you wanted it to be, you can still make it a good thing after the fact. It's all about your mentality, all about how you view things and how you interpret your perception of where things are.
No, Jonathan, that's great stuff. Perspective, and right, you spoke about you just said earlier that college is a networking opportunity, and so through that networking, you were able to build your advisory board that you have now.
A very powerful advisory board of pharmaceutical executives, university training executives, what else? Education executives, government executives, investment executives. So I mean, like literally, it's safe to say we have a unicorn right now. It's very safe to say. For those that don't know what a unicorn is, that's $1 billion company. And I'm not saying that to just be like, oh, no, let me say it while we're on the call here. No, like look at what we're doing. It's a literal institute for social media studies. We were ahead of the curve. The individual that actually told me, do you want to run a nonprofit for the rest of your life, or do you want to actually run a profitable company? Dr. Elmira Mangum. She told me that straight up to my face before she left FAMU, before they tried to kick her out, basically. He said, like, you've grown beyond Tallahassee, and I did not understand it until I went to MIT in 2019
Mm-hmm.
and literally sat there. And I was actually there for a disability. It was a disability inclusion summit for
Okay.
leaders around the country. And I mean, I was the only like almost fully able body there. Like there's maybe like one or two other people that were there that were like full able body,
Mm-hmm.
like you couldn't visibly see anything. And they sat me down by a campfire and literally said, Jonathan, what's stopping you from pioneering your industry? Fear? They're like, I'm blind. Or they're like, I'm blind and I'm a lawyer. I don't have legs, and I'm doing campaigns for some of the biggest organizations. I'm missing a whole arm,
Yeah.
and I'm doing this over here, running political campaigns, and I got signs in my hand. So what's stopping you from your mind, your eyes, your hearing, your hands, your feet to
Yeah.
go pioneer what you're starting? So and actually his name is John Rivers, um, and he wrote a book called the accusation. Say it right. Accusation. I cannot pronounce it. Sorry, apologies, but
Go ahead.
accusation. And he wrote a book basically, and in this book he mentions this campfire discussion about my thought process and how I, was having an epiphany or like realization of self. Like, do I deserve to be in the position of a pioneer? Like, what did I do to deserve this? And he just sat me down and said, Jonathan, get out of your own head. But it's scary times. Like, you're not going to always be the most vocal person in a field of development. Embrace it. So after I take your watch, went home and literally started my institute. Got it. So what you see that it's like a big developmental phase of like transition. And yes, all of them were college students. I was going through a rough time, realizing that I couldn't go back to college. I thought it was gonna be over for me, and they were like, "No, it's not. It's just."
Hey, I had a random thought as you were talking. I was like, your biopic is gonna be powerful.
Bro. Like, I mean, bro. It's documented. Like everything I'm telling you is literally documented. Like, I didn't even know a book was. I mean, technically, I wouldn't say the book was written about me, but the premise of the conversation
Mm,
of the book was about an experience and how this experience could lead into other things. And
right.
actually, the triple conscious theory. I want to talk about that. So
Yeah,
everybody,
yeah, yeah.
the triple conscious theory, as we know, is based off public, private, and social media persona. When
Wait,
I was in Florida,
real,
and
real quick, my bad. Was the triple conscious theory? Was that created while you were at FAMU?
yes, it was.
Okay, let's we're gonna get there. Let's backtrack and then we'll move forward to that. Right, we moved forward a little bit. You basically chatting with us just about the power of number one, networking, right?
Yes,
Number two, building a community of people that believe in you, and then number three, tapping into that community.
sure.
You can't do it alone, but to have people around you that are skilled in these various areas, now you all can move collectively together uh, in a more efficient manner. Talk to us a little bit more about how you developed your sense of community on FAMU's campus, whether it was with, you talked about the former president, whether it was with certain professors or even other students that were around you.
Well, I had to be comfortable with myself. So remember, college is a a mecca of very well connected teenage or young individuals, teenagers, high schools around the
Mm-hmm.
country. It's a plot of development. So your goal on every campus, no matter where you go, is to figure out who are the power players, who are the ones for that class or that year. So after I understood power dynamics and structure, I realized college is like a corporation. You got the brand new people coming in at the entry level and the top level and SGA, student government students, and then you also got the other ones, the football players that are the entertainment. When it comes to certain things, you got the fraternities. They're the ones that are the community organizers of the group, that are required to do things. And then there are the faculty who basically oversee what all that is happening. So when you're coming in at a lower level and you're starting fresh, new, don't know nobody, you're often probably the best to go. And you're going to find your tribe in college. There is someone for everybody. And that's something that I think people don't understand because they only see with the lens that's in front of them. And we're going to get that away. But that's why when it comes to being authentic, it took me a minute to kind of understand what that actually meant. Because, people need, and you may not last a whole semester, so that's another thing. You may meet someone that semester and then they're gone the next because of situations, life happenings.
Yeah.
So people don't realize like that is life. And it sucks sometimes when, you're moving campus or you're moving dorms and you're like, oh, I got a new roommate. Where's the other one? Oh, he left and he's back to Chicago or whatever.
Yeah.
People really don't understand that, when you're trying to find yourself, you also got to lose yourself sometimes.
Yes.
And to be comfortable with yourself, you cannot bring your old into the new. And remember, every single interaction is a new dynamic that you must understand. You cannot just leave it on the table. Relationships, business connections, homies and homettes, whatever you want to call them, you got to make sure that you fully understand what the intent of that engagement is. And once you understand that, everything else will make sense and fall into place.
This is good stuff. Yeah, this is good stuff. I'm learning a lot. Okay, so right with this concept around college as a corporation and being able to maximize that, you then move forward into this focus around social media and its impacts on the mind, which eventually birthed this triple consciousness theory or triple conscious theory. Talk to us about the beginnings of that, and then move forward into triple conscious theory, and then whatever else you want to chat about, and then we'll go from there. I'm just listening.
No problem. So I was actually sitting in Dr. Robinson's psychology class, and if I recall, he's from Texas.
Okay.
Big brother, looking like he just came out of, the gym every other day. Like Misaki, nobody messed with him. But Dr. Robinson was dope, transparent. You know how HBCUs kind of like a Cornell winner, just for sociology. And he was someone that challenged me to develop something, and he was talking about W.E.B. Du Bois, and he talked about Souls of Black Folks. So, I was reading that book, and, his time at Frisch University was just him kind of like self-evaluating himself in, 1904, in that, day and age of like being Black in America and how it was to be on a Black campus and, how he was perceived. And it was like, for me, I was like, I'm kind of going through the same thing. Like, I have a mask, but the mask it's no longer my race, it's my identity online. And this identity online is something that no one has yet addressed outside of big tech. And even big tech wasn't even addressing it because they were using it for marketing and branding, which drove me crazy. So I already knew that, hold up, if you can control a persona of a generation, and you're able to not only control that persona, but you can use algorithms, you can use quote unquote propaganda to get people to believe a certain thing, altering a whole generation's perception of understanding without even having to see them face to face or directly engage with them. That's powerful. But without understanding of that social media persona, which is subconscious in us, and we project our public and our private in the online world. So I said, triple conscious theory. What is the triple conscious theory? Public, private, and social media persona. And I was like, the public persona, how the public sees you in the public sphere, but doesn't interpret it online. How the private sees you, you're projecting private information, private things that would never be public to online space. And then with the social media, it causes, what is that called? Organized chaos online. So it's like, hold up, you're putting your public and private online. Typically when both meet, it cancels out each other. So who are you? Who are you in the online world? That is a multi-billion-dollar question. Who are you? And when you ask people that question in the online world, they say, I'm a model. I'm this. No. Who are you? Take away the camera. Take away the likes. Take away the comments. Just like I said 10 years ago. Who are you? And that is something to this day that leaves people complex when you take away social media. Because I bet you right now, I take away social media, I may maybe only talk to maybe like 3 or 4 people. But in the public space, I have a full of what I've reached over 1 million plus people. In 1 year alone, I did 250,000 plus reaches, and that's direct doing my stuff that I can see. And people don't realize that I've already, yeah, it's like that triple conscious theory. It's like it's a daily thing for me because it's like, people see what I post, they never get to understand the person behind the post. And that's one of the biggest things about that theory. It's like I built my own, not own demise, I should say, but it's like I built something that pushes people away from me, but it gets everybody closer to who they are as a person and who's around them. And being someone who is very upfront with people,
Yeah.
I'm a people person, so I had to really look at that for many years. Like, what did I create? Like this was not meant to, be used against me, the creator of it. And people don't know like what that is when you go to meetings or you're just trying to have a coffee with somebody, and they're like, "No, I'm used to consciously right now to understand you," and I'm like, why? They're like, "Am I talking to your dominant persona? Is your public persona talking to you right now?" And I'm like, what? Like, why are you? But that just shows how powerful the work is.
Right.
So it's like at the same time, I had to realize, like, okay, we're still in like the first 20 years of tech, or big tech. So I'm like, how could this be used in research? How could this be used in education? How could this be used in government? How could this be used in your home? You as an individual, as a social media user, and that's what the social media persona talks about. The you yourself. We hold the mirror up to you, and we give you the tool to look at yourself.
Hey, while you were talking, and you talked about it earlier, right? This people using the theory against you. I had somebody ask me, someone that I knew, so I often talk about, share about you and your theories, and someone's like, well, if he's, and right, we can talk about like misconceptions that people have. Like, was he trying to destroy social media or is he trying to get rid of social media? Somebody asked me, they were like, oh, well, if he's trying to, what did they say? If he's trying to get people off social media, which I know you're not, why is he posting on social media? Can you address some of these dissonant thoughts that people are having?
Definitely will. So there was a Malcolm X quote. I'm gonna butcher it real quick. It was a Malcolm X quote, basically saying that the media will have you supporting the good guy, and then making the villain of no. What is it? It's basically something like that. But basically saying like it will have you supporting the villain, but really the good guy is the one doing like the work or something like that. But basically he's saying like the opposite of what you think is not actually what's happening.
Okay.
So what people don't realize is that there was a big PR push in 2019 to make it seem like I was the bearer of bad news for big tech. I got sued, for the actual thing that people now assume that I'm doing. But I got sued basically for social media dependency disorder.
Yeah.
And what people don't realize is that when they see what I own, they think that I'm trying to stop people from using social media. No, the goal here is to get you to understand how it's affecting you, and you make the decision on what you're going to use.
Empower you.
We're just empowering you. So, but people get this notion, and this is where the problem comes, because they meet someone like me who does not care what you have to say, and I may take into consideration, but it's not going to affect my bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
And my bottom line is not money. Try, but it's really reach. It's really the impact implementation.
Yeah.
And for those people that use social media, you guys got to remember the same thing that causes problems can also create the solution. So if you can't see why I'm doing what I'm doing and I'm making it very clear, they don't want me to use social media, because then that means that's over what? That's over 1 million plus people that I will not have access to anymore to educate. So, it's a give and take. It's like, okay, people, I mean, what's a great example? People still smoke, but it's a social thing that they do. People still golf and they've got bad hips and arms, but they still, golf and go out there and socialize because it's a socializing thing. That's where a lot of business happens. So for social media, business happens on social media. Majority of my connections you see came from social media. It's all about interpretation. The only people that understand my work are people that see the problem. And when you use that triple conscious theory and you see that even you have a problem sometimes, and I'm able to interpret that without even speaking to you, and you can understand that, that means that my work is working. And my goal here, our goal here as the Institute, our community partners in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Los Angeles, California Public Health Department, like what else you need to see? We're not against social media. If we were against social media, they would have tried to crush me 5 times already. Not 1 time, 5 times. And I know a lot of these people. I sit down at these tables. I go to these meetings in DC. I go to these meetings in California. I go to these meetings here and other places. I mean, what else do I need to show for people to understand that, the media is going to paint me as the villain? So to get in front of that, I say what I'm going to say regardless. So you have track record, do your research. So you understand who I am, what I've said before any of these people got involved. Like you said, it's a biopic of epic proportions of lots of 15 years of networking together in the public sphere. Nobody's ever seen that before. This is the method I'm using is that brand new. I'm giving you what you want. And actually, I'm going to read a quote that I actually said 6 years ago. Do you mind if I
Please.
Okay. So this is what I said 6 years ago. And I literally just posted this. I said, engage people with what they expect. It is what they are able to discern and confirms their projection. And it settles them into a predictable pattern of response, occupying their minds while you wait for the extraordinary moment, which they cannot anticipate. So that was 6 years ago today.
Right.
So what are we doing here? What I literally posted 6 years ago. And something that people always say is I'm very repetitive. Well, if I give you what you want and you respond to it and it works and it's packaged every year just a little differently, that should tell you that's called programming. That's called programming. And if every year I modify just a little bit over time, and then eventually one day you say, I understand, or hold up, he has something here, so what is he trying to do? Whether you're with me or against me, I did my job. Meaning you process, you synthesize it, and you implement it. Because now I made you aware of what we were doing. And now the fact that you're questioning my intentions, that's going to lead you to ask more questions. So whether you're with me or against me, you're still going to use it. You're still going to use what SMRI develops. You're still going to see what we develop. And what is that called? Depends on who's using it. Propaganda. But there's good and bad propaganda. And people don't know that. So, so for people that are against what I'm doing and say, hey, I don't support that because he's doing X, Y, and Z, would you rather me tell you or would you rather big tech control what's being said? Because they're not going to tell you. They're just going to use you. Right? Guess what? That's the value of every user per day. So you tell me you would rather listen to them and they're using it, or would you have to listen to us and we're trying to give you tools and help? And because I don't look like them, don't keep it real, because I've been in meetings where they said, if you were a Caucasian, you would get support. I've been in these rooms where they've said you need to get a Caucasian CEO. And I'm like, why?
In this day and age.
Why? Yes, in this day and age. And mind you, the theory that I developed is based off I was an African American. I have caused so much problems through that. They're like, Aristotle said that. No, I didn't study that at my university. I studied W.B. Du Bois. So it's like, if you have a problem with that, don't support. You're still going to, as long as you use social media, you need social media harm reduction. So you got to remove yourself from me. Like, don't come for the person.
Yeah.
Look at the message. And that's the problem. People see social media and they look at the person. There's no individuality anymore. I don't need to prove anything to anybody. I've already showed you. I've been to Microsoft, John Thompson, 2016, almost 10 years ago. I've already been there, done that. So my understanding of the industry is coming from not competing. When you compete, it shows that you are vulnerable. But if I'm coming after you as a company, I'm showing that you're better than me. I know I'm number one. I know the Institute is number one. I know the people I bring on are number one.
Mm.
And I'm not going to let big tech, these heavily funded, ain't doing nothing organizations, going to tell me that we're not up to standard because we don't have a budget behind us in the tens of hundreds of dollars. Okay, cool. So when I get that, you're still going to see the power of someone is what they have without having. So if I can show you that we can still build an industry and we can reach out to people like you, we have not met in person, disclaimer. So, what he's seeing is off of consistency, off of development, off of communication. People don't communicate. He's seen the good, bad, and the ugly, right? We talk about it. But other people don't see that because they see the facade. They see me as an industry titan. Why, I don't know. I'm just an individual developing something that I would have wanted for myself. And nobody's going to stop me from doing that. So if that intimidates people, my bad. But guess what? Don't try to mess up my life because you're upset because you didn't develop something. This is lived experience. There's a lot of suffering, a lot of pain, a lot of hurt with this. When you really look behind the curtain or the veil, or the screen, we would say nowadays, it's a lie. People have quit because of what they realized. People have lost jobs. People have gone through hell and back with me to get to where we are. So when you guys are seeing these people endorse, or the health department endorse, this people endorse, that's off my blood, sweat, and tears. That's off my team's blood, sweat, and tears. That's off us being cussed out, dragged through the mud, sued. I mean, we've got people literally on the FBI watch list that I'm with just yeah, what happened? So the type of things where when you see me kind of like very upfront is because I have to be clear at all times. I cannot be in a middle ground. I've been audited. I've been, IRS, police, it's been real ugly. And when you have to be vetted at that level on a federal level, I don't think people understand what that means and how that feels to know that you're being watched at all times. And I'm probably still being watched. But, when you deal with real business that impacts human lives and, human services and things like that, there are people that will watch you for years and say not a thing until they feel it's the right time. And when you've done it for 15 years, you just have this mentality that any day can be that. Think about that, how that makes someone feel who wants to, step back and, do a thing. I can't step back. I've tried. I get dragged right back in. So when you develop something, y'all, remember, if it's something new and pioneering, think about it as a lifelong thing. It's not going to be something you just let me step back. Nope, because you're the subject matter expert. Oh, okay. But that's basically that.
No,
it's not a whole rant.
It's powerful stuff. It's funny that you brought up the Malcolm X quote because I think about Malcolm X and I think about Martin Luther King Jr., right, Morehouse grad, and how these two men in particular were maybe not necessarily pioneers, but the way they went about their support, right, thinking about segregation, thinking about Black empowerment, was pioneering, right? And so as a result, they became the focus became centered on them, right? So you talked about government. You talked about how those that don't fully understand will make up what they want, what they think it is, right? And so in a way, you sort of mirror, what the Social Media Research Institute is going through, and you and specifically, Jonathan, it sort of mirrors, right, what the struggles of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. Have you ever thought about that?
People don't know. Oh, I got something for you. So I'm a big MLK fan. Look at this.
Okay.
Limited edition at the time.
But what is that? Talk to me about that. What is that?
Okay, so it's called the Freedom Book, and basically this book goes over hundreds of years of segregation, lynching, from 18. Well, actually, let's see. Oh yeah, okay. So this is copy one. This is copy 110. Collectible, but it from 1840 to current day, and really it talks about equality, the dream deferred, we shall overcome, those type of mantras. and then also the index of slavery in history and how basically it impacts and freedom, what freedom means. Can I read a quote from Langston Hughes? Is that okay?
Yes, you can, and also let us know who that book is by.
Okay. No. So this book is actually by the MLK Center and
Mm.
in Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah. So that's actually where I got it. Yep, I got it from the MLK Center. And this was don't remember the year, but it was over 10 years ago because I
Okay.
used to like MLK mentality, and then I went to college and became Malcolm X. Hey, that's the truth, though. That is the truth. But yes, okay. So I want to read this
Go
quote
ahead, please.
by Langston Hughes, and it's called "Freedom." Freedom will not come today, this year, nor ever. Compromise is here. Freedom is a strong seed, planted in a great need. I live here too. I want freedom, just as you. Langston Hughes, freedom, and that's for HBC. So, so this is the type of stuff where when you go to an HBCU, we talk about living the dream deferred, making sure that what you do after you leave wherever you're going to, that we all have the same struggle to some degree. We may have different titles and colors and creeds, but we all believe the same, we look the same. We all put it all on paper, and it's called the struggle.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying financially struggle, but just the oppression that we don't see. And when you go through corporate America, when you go through an HBCU, you will experience it with your own community. But it betters you, it makes you stronger. And without that experience, I would have never, ever been able to say the things I do today because FAMU made me. And how I learned, I lost I lost an election actually during campaign season. You know what I mean? An HBCU campaign season is kind of ruthless.
It's intense.
And I lost by like 20 points for a freshman senator, and it really humbled me because I realized you got to know the right people. It's not about how many people you know; it's about the quality of people, not the quantity. And knowing that in the real world, it has helped so much. And I always tell people, my quality of people get me through the door, not the quantity of people. People that focus on quantity end up getting lost in the number. But they can never call out someone in the crowd that is resourceful. I can call out people that are resourceful if needed at any time around the clock 24/7. And they'll come behind it, just like you did with certain things in Houston. So this is the kind of stuff where, these are your eyes and your ears when you're not around. The people you associate with, people you call friends, people you call family, brothers, uncles, aunties, of your kids and your family members. These are the people that should be your allies, whether you got money, whether you don't got it, whether you're up, whether you're down. Those are the ones that will speak on your behalf. And this is why, to me, HBCUs are great. Yes, any college you can do it, but HBCUs for those, when you speak to your demographic,
Yeah.
it streamlines the process and it gives you hope because it gave me hope and I saw life totally different. I took off that mask. Once I took off that mask, it was gone. And then now I had to understand the other mask, which is the social media persona. And that has been a whirlwind because every platform is different. So every platform is a new mask. And when you have 4 or 5 masks a day coming off, and you're flipping, changing things, it's a lot to take in. And I always let people know one post can change the mind, one comment can change the generation.
This is good stuff, man. Yeah, and it gives me so much to think about when you were talking about. And thank you for the quote, by the way. You have to text that to me. I have a note of quotes, so I'm always looking to add new stuff to it. Thank you for that. But as you were kind of chatting with us about some of your challenges and just building up the company and just managing it from not only the corporate side but the personal side, we can tie it back to HBCUs, right? Ultimately, understanding that they were born and bred out of need, right? Freed black individuals could not go to the white institutions, and so what did we do? And what did those that supported us do? We created these our own institutions, and what happened as a result? I can only imagine the type of hate and vitriol that the first HBCUs and really all HBCUs get, right? There is this negative perception that's unfortunately still around HBCUs, with them being seen as lower tiered or subpar to predominantly white institutions. But we know that HBCUs have created and have born and bred some of the greats, right? We just spoke about some of them, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., right? So on and so Jonathan Bertrand, Keyshawn McMiller, you know, and so we understand that HBCUs day in and day out are dispelling the myths, right? Are eradicating the negative perceptions with who and what they produce in the masses and droves that they produce them in. And just this conversation has given me further hope and just made me more excited that, hey, the next generation of pioneers is coming. And I wouldn't be shocked if those pioneers came and were born and bred out of HBCUs, just as you and I were, Jonathan. So just thank you for that. In terms of right landing the plane here, as we kind of come to a close, I always like to ask my guests, as we're talking about now, considering the preservation and elevation of HBCUs, we understand that historically speaking, these institutions have been underfunded, have been under resourced, dare I say deliberately. And so how do we generally speaking preserve and elevate HBCUs for future generations?
Well, just having dealt with the admin side of things as well as and now that I run it, it's like, we have research fellows. Not just dropping a whole bunch of money into it. I don't believe in that. I think really showing up for the students and like, hey, like, basically making it like a requirement. Like, hey, like if you come through my institute, you're required to give back to your whether it's funding or percentage of your company goes towards, developing parts of a new, department in the institute that you came from. I just think, showing up, showing alumni that they need to give back, because you see, schools like Harvard, yes, the big ones, but they have a strong alumni base.
Yeah.
And I think, because of the experiences we have at HBCUs and that stigma of, oh, where the money going? Where's the money going? It's like, yeah, we have these foundations at the universities, but it's like, what are they doing? And it's like when like my university, for example, like we just had an issue where an alumni, apparently, whatever he was or is, gave what, $230 million or something, and it came to be a fraud. It's like, how do you even go down that far down the pipeline to signing the check, bringing him to a whole graduation as a keynote speaker, when you got people like me who have done things, who've been to FAMU, have pictures on FAMU campus, with professors of university, professors, ex-presidents, and I'm like, just because he threw a number on a board and he had stock options, which, mind you, I could say my company is worth $1 billion today on paper with stock options, but doesn't mean it holds weight in the bank. So the fact that, the competency, I think, of the admins that are there needs to be put on display, meaning like, instead of hiring your uncles and your cousins, bringing in people, that of our kind that are qualified. And knowing that it's not going to always be easy to do that. You got to have standards. And coming from a place where we saw it, where a school right next door, FSU, our governor at the time, well, now, was waiting for every opportunity to just dismantle FAMU, trying to give away the engineering school. Like, why? Like, what do we do to you? So, they're trying to inch over the tracks, as they say, every year, every single year. And it was like a constant battle. Why are you doing this? We got the best school. Then FSU students are coming to us saying, well, we should, like y'all, like we should be expanding, FAMU here because we don't have the caliber y'all have over there. And a lot of the African American developers that were, doing stuff would have to go to FSU side to teach them. So it's like, so why are you guys are coming here? We're going to you, but you guys are trying to take over, which would definitely impede on our HBCU experience. You're taking a whole engineering school almost near the center of the university. That's crazy. So it's like all these things. It's like, yo, like, the HBCU experience should be protected. So someone like me, who yes had a very rough experience, but nobody could tell because I don't let that lead into the conversation. Yes, it's a part of my history. Yes, will that be talked about? Yes, will my biopic when it comes out, and walking FAMU campus, and going around, running around with books in my hands and whatnot. Like social media is a problem. And everybody thinking I'm high or something like that because nobody understood what a third persona was, and they're like, "You're delusional, you're schizophrenic." I'm like, "No, this is real life." And now, 10 years later, for the year, literally, and the summer, it's a thing. Like it's a thing. It's always been a thing, but now it's publicly out there in government, in conversation. So that's what I leave. When we land this plane, the goal here, my life's work would be to develop an industry that sustains, that is maintained, supported by governments all over the world, creates opportunities for all people, all users of social media, but also showing my community that you don't need to be a billionaire to develop an industry. It could take time. You may not have to sell your soul to do it. I would not recommend that, but you're able to still do the proper, and people do have morals and ethics. So, and that's what I lead with. If I didn't have morals and ethics, I would be sitting on a beach somewhere, drinking Mai Tais, chilling. But there's a bigger purpose here, and I can't go to sleep knowing that someone or a corporation would be using my work, making billions of dollars, and they can't help you. They can't help your kids, your family.
Hey, folks, what more needs to be said? Okay. Um, actually, a lot more can be said. We may actually have you back on the show for part two. Um, Jonathan Bertrand, you're a brother to me. I understand what you mean to HBCUs, to society. That you are appreciated. This is good stuff, man. Thank you for the enriching conversation, for the openness, for the transparency. It's something that is not seen a lot today, but I think it is necessary. And funnily enough, right, your level of transparency juxtaposed to social media where people aren't always as transparent is very interesting. And so, thank you.
You're
Any
welcome.
final words? Final words before we log off.
Ask questions, engage directly. Don't believe everything you see online, and get your own understanding. Because and do your research on the person before you just start talking. Because I've met people where they don't know that I know certain people, or that I'm the one that made the call, and
Mm,
I put people in certain positions before they got to me to see what would happen.
mm,
You don't realize that sometimes powerful people set things up a certain way. And I'll leave you with this: things don't just happen; they're made to happen. So take that with a grain of salt, and remember, it's a small world, and we're no longer 7 degrees of separation.
mm.
You know what I'm talking about.
Hey, folks. That's it for me. Another episode of the ICU HBCU podcast. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more of me. If you want to see more of Jonathan Bertrand, let us know down in the comments below. Until the next time, keep moving, keep growing, keep learning, support Black colleges and universities. Goodbye.